Glacier National Park is one of the world's most spectacular alpine wilderness areas. Glacier is big, wild, majestic, awesome. It's always been a magnet for those who seek nature's solace. Native Americans called it backbone of the world. Glacier National Park preserves one of the planet's most amazing ecosystems. More than 1 million acres of forests, alpine meadows, lakes, rugged peaks, and glacial carved valleys. It is a diverse landscape with diverse habitats, climates, and life zones. This is home to nearly 70 species of mammals, including grizzly bear and gray wolf. Over 270 species of birds visit or reside here. Hundreds of wildflower species grace the slopes. And then there is the water. Over 200 lakes. More than 1,500 miles of life-giving streams and rivers form the headwaters of a continent. With over 700 miles of trails, this is a hiker's paradise for those seeking renewal of the spirit. The park shares an international border with Canada's Waterton Lakes National Park. Waterton Glacier International Peace Park is designated a World Heritage Site, a place recognized as being significant to the whole world. It is, most of all, a glacier-carved landscape that gave the park its name, an ancient legacy that influences everything in its domain, from the largest mountains to the tiniest plant and insect. The park has glaciers too, but the remaining glaciers are fast disappearing, a result of climate change, a global warming of Earth's temperatures. Come experience a land that refreshes the soul. Glacier National Park. Long before the arrival of white settlers, Native Americans stood in awe before these peaks. These mountains evoke emotion. They seem to connect land and sky. Native American tribes like the Blackfeet, Salish, and Kootenai believe the land in and around the park to have great spiritual significance. In the words of a Blackfeet, our relationship with the land runs deeper and stronger than most people can understand. The land does not belong to us. We belong to it. Chief Mountain, with a commanding presence on Glacier's eastern border, has been used for ceremonial purposes by the Blackfeet for thousands of years. The tribes depended on this wild landscape for their daily living. The Blackfeet baked, boiled, and ate arrowleaf balsam root, a bright yellow flower, and used it to treat aches and wounds. The camas plant, a bulb with spectacular blue flowers, was once a staple food and trade commodity to Native American people at cultural fests. The first white men to come into the area were trappers and traders, followed by miners trying to find their fortunes, and eventually homesteaders looking for land. But around the turn of the century, people started to look at the land differently. Here, far from civilization, in the northwest corner of Montana, they began to recognize that this area was special. A man named George Bird Grinnell and others, including railroad baron James J. Hill, president of Great Northern Railway, pushed for the idea of creating a national park. On May 11, 1910, President Taft signed the historic legislation creating Glacier National Park. The Great Northern Railway was instrumental in the park's early history. James Hill and his son Lewis Hill developed a See America First campaign. To accommodate the new visitors, the railroad built a chain of hotels, chalets, boats, roads, and trails. It was during this period, from 1910 to 1915, that 3 great lodges and 9 chalets were built. Early sightseers arrived by train to the new Glacier Park Lodge on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation. Lacking developed roads, visitors would then travel by horseback, by foot, and by boat from hotel to hotel, taking in the park's wonders on their daily journey. In 1928, a Flathead Valley boat builder by the name of Billy Swanson finished building the De Smet. She was launched onto Lake McDonald, and today, visitors to Lake McDonald Lodge can still find her parked at the dock. You can climb aboard the De Smet and tour the lake on this historic boat. Lake McDonald is the largest lake in the park at 10 miles long. Dug deep into a broad U-shaped valley, it shares a common glacial heritage with most all of Glacier's lakes. It is 472 feet deep at its deepest point. The glacier that carved Lake McDonald is estimated to have been over 2,000 feet thick. It sits on the west side of the Continental Divide. At the south end of the lake is the village of Apgar. On the dock, visitors can grab a kayak and paddle out into the great wide open. Historic Village Inn at Apgar was named for homesteader Milo B. Apgar, who built overnight cabins on this very site for early visitors. The Apgar Visitor Center is the best place to plan your adventures on the west side of the park. An easy hike to Trail of the Cedars and Avalanche Creek leads through old-growth forest, an environment akin to a giant cathedral. These trees are seen nowhere else in the park. Huge western red cedars, hemlocks, and cottonwoods absorb nearly all the direct sunlight. Avalanche Creek funnels through the polished rock of Avalanche Gorge. From Lake McDonald, adventurous visitors can take a day ride with outfitters into the wilderness. Rustic Lake McDonald Lodge, opened in 1914, is the only one of Glacier's great lodges not built by the Great Northern Railroad. It was constructed by John Lewis, a land speculator who wanted to build something worthy of the park. Details throughout the lodge remind visitors of Glacier's Native American heritage. This is a great place to relax in the Montana sunshine.
From here. There's one.
Really?
I got one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Hey, Grandpa!
An experience found only here at Glacier is the drive on 50-mile-long Going to the Sun Road. The road starts at Lake McDonald and climbs the Continental Divide, connecting McDonald Valley on one side with St. Mary Valley on the east. The traditional way to travel Going to the Sun Road is aboard Glacier's historic red buses. Visitors have been enjoying these open-air vintage buses since the 1930s.
This is my first day, and they told me that if I bring the same amount back as I've left, I will probably have a second day.
From Lake McDonald, the road follows McDonald Creek. Rising quickly out of dense forests, the road loops back and Heaven's Peak comes into view. As it winds 50 miles through the park's wild interior, Sun Road crosses several different plant and animal communities spanning a range of climate that would require a 3,000-mile north-south journey at sea level. The road is an engineering marvel, squeezed onto the side of solid rock cliffs. These are some of the most spectacular driving views in North America. Above the tree line in the alpine zone, the glacier-carved landscape is plain to see. Birdwoman Falls leaps from a classic hanging valley, where a smaller glacier carved out the upper valley and an enormous river of ice cut the valley off, leaving it hanging. In early summer, snowmelt springs from Weeping Wall. Garden Wall is a geologic formation called an arête, a thin fin of rock created by the action of two glaciers cutting and tearing away on opposite sides of the ridge. At Haystack Creek Cascades, the road is engineered around Mother Nature. Construction of this high road took 30 years of planning and sacrifice. Even today, with state-of-the-art heavy equipment and an experienced and dedicated staff, it's a challenge to open and maintain the road each spring, so rugged is the landscape through which it runs. The park's first superintendent, Major William Logan, arrived in 1910 to a virtual wilderness with few roads. By now, the automobile started to revolutionize travel to America's great national parks. Logan and others laid plans for development of the park centered around the concept of a trans-mountain road. Stephen Mather, the first director of the newly formed National Park Service, understood this. He knew that allowing the public to experience these spectacular landscapes would create support for protecting the parks. Surveyors were the pioneers of this road. Armed with transits and ropes, they risked their lives daily to establish the route for crews to follow. Supplies, tools, and dynamite had to be hauled up the mountains by pack train or horse-drawn sleds. Much of the road was blasted out of solid rock. Three men died during the construction, a remarkably low figure considering the extreme conditions. Rock crushing facilities were constructed on location for road surfacing material. On July 15, 1933, 4,000 people made the journey for the dedication at Logan Pass. It was a celebration of access to a special mountain wilderness. Today, as visitors arrive at Logan Pass, many experience the same Rocky Mountain high to arrive at such a place. Logan Pass is still the gateway into the park's alpine wilderness. It's an environment of harsh conditions. Plants and animals both adapt to specific life zones. For trees, wildflowers, and animals, mountainous terrain represents an organized, high-rise approach to life. Bighorn sheep are well suited to Glacier's alpine zone, being very adept at navigating the rocky terrain of high altitudes. Mature male bighorn, also called rams, are easily identified by their huge curled horns. Females and the young males have only short pointed horns. The Logan Pass Visitor Center is busy during early July. Park rangers answer questions as visitors seek out new hikes and adventures. Come prepared and learn about the fragile environment. As visitors, be safe and leave this alpine home as you found it for the real residents of Glacier. This national park is their last sanctuary. Highline Trail begins at Logan Pass. It doesn't take long to figure out where it gets its name. It starts here at the top of the Continental Divide, notched into the cliff, and runs high along the near vertical garden wall for miles. Rocky Mountain goats relax in a shaded cleft on the edge of a 500-foot cliff, seemingly unconcerned with passers-by. Hoary marmots live in the rocky slopes and are seen moving fluidly through the rocks or basking in the sun. They live in small communities and are highly social. During the brief summer, marmots feed continuously in order to put on fat to see them through an 8 to 9 month hibernation. Up behind the visitor center, Clements Mountain dominates the western horizon. Glacier lilies are first to break through melting snows. In this fragile environment, it can take up to 10 years for a plant to muster enough energy to flower and reproduce. To the south is Reynolds Mountain. The pyramid shape of Reynolds is a classic example of what geologists call a horn, shaped by glaciers grinding on 3 sides. 1.5 mile long Hidden Lake Trail is one of the park's most popular hikes. This is a hike for all ages, where snow adds to the adventure. Climbing over 400 feet, the trail arrives at Hidden Lake Overlook. Bear Hat Mountain rises over Hidden Lake. The peak was named after a Kootenai Indian leader. Later in summer, once the snow melts, Hidden Lake takes on a whole new look. Like the bighorn sheep, mountain goats are superbly adapted to the alpine environment. They traverse the steep terrain with muscular forequarters, scrambling over rocky slopes on split, pliable hooves. The males, called billies, and the females, called nannies, are hard to tell apart. Male and female alike have sharp, pointed horns. At Logan Pass, mountain goats are habituated to a steady stream of hikers and seem to tolerate people. But keep in mind, these are wild animals with very sharp horns. As a visitor here, take the time to learn about wildlife and respect their need for undisturbed space. Enjoy viewing them at a distance. Approaching too close can disturb feeding and travel routes. Because park animals are still wild, they remain unpredictable and may strike out without warning. Habituated animals often have to be relocated or killed. Animal jams and habituated wildlife are serious problems. How can you help? Enjoy wildlife from a distance and never feed wildlife. We all share responsibility to keep Glacier healthy and wild. If you want to explore going to the Sun Road at your own pace and leave the driving to someone else, pack a day pack and ride Glacier's free shuttle system from end to end, stopping at trailheads and overlooks. Get on and off as often as you like at any of the 16 shuttle stops. Once you cross the Continental Divide onto the east side of the park, starting the descent down into St. Mary Valley, the broader landscape has a different look. Early July is springtime for Glacier. Snowmelt leaps off mountainsides in a flowing dance of water on rock. This is the subalpine zone, below the rocky alpine tundra of Logan Pass, but above the heavily forested valleys. As the road drops in elevation, scenery changes again to the montane zone. Jackson Glacier Overlook affords the best opportunity to see a glacier from the road. On the north slope of Mount Jackson, Jackson Glacier is among the park's most impressive. Many of the park's glaciers are retreating from rising temperatures attributed to climate change. Between 1966 and 2005, Jackson Glacier lost almost a third of its acreage. As Going to the Sun Road descends into St. Mary Valley, it parallels St. Mary Lake, leading to Rising Sun and the park's east entrance. The town of St. Mary is part of the Blackfeet Nation. It is the eastern gateway to Glacier National Park. Prairies, mountains, and forests all converge here to create a diverse and rich habitat for plants and animals. The East Side Visitor Center is a good place to start your exploration. Inside, the Native American Cultural Center focuses on tribal perspectives about this land. If the Hidden Lake Trail at Logan Pass represents humanity's pilgrimage to the mountaintop, the lower portion of Red Eagle Trail is a pursuit of solitude through forested meadows. The trail passes through burn areas from the 2006 fire, an illustration of one of the great cycles of nature, fire and regrowth. When a wildfire burns, people often think of the loss of green forests. Yet fire is a natural process, often required for healthy ecosystems. Broadleaf arnica are among the first flowers to spring up after a fire. The warming temperatures of climate change, however, have changed the pace. Increasing fire size and intensity is resulting in unprecedented changes throughout the region's wild forests. At nearly 4,500 feet elevation, St. Mary Lake sits 1,500 feet higher than Lake McDonald on the opposite side of the Continental Divide. Built in 1925, Little Chief sails St. Mary Lake, where her namesake, Little Chief Mountain, forms the towering southwestern flank of the lake. Wild Goose Island barely rises above the lake's icy waters. The peaks of the Lewis Range form a soaring rampart 5,000 feet above St. Mary. Just like the park's earliest sightseers, there are opportunities to get off the boat and experience the valley on foot. At the lake's west end, a 3-mile round-trip hike winds through pine forests toward St. Mary Falls. Late afternoon at St. Mary Falls is a revelation. The wooded trail continues a half mile to the base of 50-foot-high Virginia Falls. It's an exhilarating experience. Glacier has its great lodges, but quaint Rising Sun Motor Inn poses a charm all its own. Cabins are rustic and simple, yet comfortable. A stone's throw from the cabins, Rose Creek pours down from the high country. Clear mountain waters support an amazing variety of life. Streams are home to the American dipper, also called a water ouzel. Dippers actually walk underwater, feeding on aquatic insects. Many Glacier is considered to be the heart of the park, and historic Many Glacier Hotel, dwarfed by mountains, is the hub of activity here. This is one of the great lodges built by the railway. It is part of a grand outdoor tradition of the American West. Construction on the hotel was completed in 1915. The large rustic architecture of the lobby is a comforting place to sit, rest, and share the day's adventures. Early morning at Many Glacier has a special mood. The angular face of Mount Gould rises over Swift Current Lake, a massive rampart of the Continental Divide. Many Glacier has an overpowering beauty that is the same today as it was 100 years ago. In Many Glacier, there's a hike for every day of the week. Appacooney Falls Trail is a short, steep hike, rising 700 feet in 1 mile. The climb has spectacular views of Lake Sherburne and Mount Wynn. It's a rush of wind, water, and spirit at the base of the falls. In Glacier, observing wildlife, it seems, can be an obsession as much as an activity. Swift Current Motor Inn is where the road ends and the trails begin. In the parking lot, ranger and visitors use a spotting scope and binoculars to look for grizzly and black bear. Late afternoon is a good time to start the 4-mile round trip to Red Rock Falls. The first stop is Fisher Cap Lake. This is prime moose habitat. Moose are the largest of the deer family and also the largest animal in Glacier. A bull moose can weigh over 1,000 pounds. Their large size and huge antlers make them one of the most impressive and intimidating animals in North America. Perhaps one of the most sublime experiences in Glacier is the boat ride and hike from Many Glacier Hotel to Grinnell Glacier. From Many Glacier Hotel, ride Chief Two Guns across Swift Current Lake. On the far shore, take a brisk 400-yard walk to your second lake, where you board the Morning Eagle. The Morning Eagle takes you onto Lake Josephine, into the heart of Grinnell Valley.
The closer you get to a glacier, the more vibrant it's going to be. It even kind of looks like it has a milky substance in it, maybe like a watered down milk. Kind of cool.
On this morning, our boat guide leads a group to Grinnell Lake. Hiking lets you experience more closely the details of nature. In this rugged environment, keeping trails open for visitors is no easy task. National Park Service trail crews challenge the elements daily. The trail to Grinnell Glacier is a journey into the essence of Glacier National Park. It's a steep 1,600-foot alpine ascent to the base of the Garden Wall. There are wildflowers in amazing variety. White-bloomed stalks of bear grass stand against the distinctive milky blue waters of Grinnell Lake, a color given to the presence of glacial flour in the water. Glacial flour is powdered rock, pulverized by active glaciers nearby. Bear grass is not actually a grass, it's a lily, and bears don't particularly like it. Its sturdy leaves were used by the native people to weave baskets and clothing. Ahead, Salamander Glacier clings to the Garden Wall. One curious alpine resident is the pika, a tiny rock dweller that likes cold climates. It lives in rocky hillsides and crevices, giving to its nickname rock rabbit. Scientists study pika as a bellwether species. The pika and the alpine ecosystem they inhabit are sensitive to the effects of warming temperatures. The weather in mountains changes quickly. Peaks and cirques have their own microclimates. Clouds form quickly as cool, moist air is compressed against the peaks. Park rangers lead hikes and explain the processes before them.
Only in the last several years have we seen, as anybody who's been working here 40 years or more, have we seen any bare ice on the lower part of the Gem Glacier. So it's starting to be affected.
Grinnell Glacier Trail continues up past soaring rock faces until Grinnell Glacier and Upper Grinnell Lake are reached at last. Salamander Glacier is located perched on a shelf above Grinnell Glacier. Before 1926, there was no Salamander Glacier. It was part of Grinnell Glacier. Grinnell and nearly all of the park's glaciers have been retreating for over 100 years. Moraine is the name given to rock debris carried along by a glacier and deposited in a pile as the glacier melts back. Many of Glacier's lakes have been dammed by moraine. In 1985, when Grinnell Glacier was larger and more stable, visitors were able to hike upon it. In few places is the evidence of climate change so clear as it is in the high elevation peaks of Glacier. In 1850, there were an estimated 150 glaciers in the park. Today, there are 25. Because of the unique photographic documentation of these glaciers, scientists from around the world are studying the impact of warming temperatures on the life zones and ecosystems here. Scientists predict all glaciers in Glacier National Park will be gone before 2030. What will it mean for Glacier National Park to have no glaciers? Glacier is a pure water source for headwaters that flow through a continent. Glaciers are reservoirs of life-sustaining water for mountain streams and the plants and animals dependent on intertwined ecosystems. As temperatures warm and move up the mountain peaks, the dwellers of the highest, coldest life zones, the pika, the mountain goat, the glacier lily, have no place higher or colder to go. There is no farther up. It would be the first time in recorded history, even before the forefathers of the Blackfeet, that there would be no glaciers here. Grizzly bears are the very symbol of wilderness. They once roamed much of the West, but were hunted to near extinction. Today, they are an endangered species, but thanks to conservation efforts, they have a strong presence in Glacier. The grizzly is the most feared predator in North America. It is easily the most unpredictable and dangerous animal in Glacier. They're named for their silvery-tipped fur that gives them a grizzled appearance. It can be identified by its hump, a powerful muscle that helps them dig up food. They also have a concave face with turned-up noses, large claws, and powerful jaws. A sow grizzly gives birth to typically 1 or 2 cubs. Cubs stay with mom for 2 years. A 2-year-old cub may look cuddly, but this is already a powerful animal. He has a walkie-talkie, possibly from the last hiker he encountered. Glacier is also prime habitat for black bear. From a distance, it can be hard to tell black bear and grizzly apart. The designation black bear denotes a species rather than a color. Thus, there are black, brown, blonde, and cinnamon-colored black bears. Both black bears and grizzlies are omnivores. They eat just about anything. Please always keep your distance from any wild animal. Never approach or feed them. The fate of the bear is often in the visitor's hands. Glacier is home to another predator at the top of the food chain, the gray wolf. Wolves don't hibernate. They hunt through the winter. They too were hunted to near extinction. After an absence of 60 years, the gray wolf returned on its own to Glacier. The Blackfeet called this the land of shining mountains. Near the village of East Glacier, Two Medicine area has a strong Blackfeet heritage. Rising Wolf and Sinnepaw, 2 mountains that tower over Two Medicine Lake, are named after Sinnepaw, the daughter of a powerful Blackfeet chief. Rising Wolf was the name given to Hugh Monroe, a white man that married Sinnepaw and lived with the Blackfeet tribe in the 1800s. Sacred to the Blackfeet, the beauty of Two Medicine evokes a spiritual admiration that transcends culture and race. There's a universal draw in the beauty of the mountains, in the mountain air itself. If you want to experience your own journey to the mountaintop, try the hike from Two Medicine Lake to Scenic Point. It's a strenuous hike, climbing over 2,300 feet in just 3.1 miles. It's considered to be one of the best scenic views in Glacier. If a serious hike isn't for you, try a boat tour aboard the Sinnepaw. She's been sailing Two Medicine Lake since her launch in 1924.
If you look, it kind of looks like a pyramid. It's just to the left of the end of Rising Wolf, to the right of Mount Helen there. And that's called Flinch Peak. And Flinch is a Matterhorn or horn. You see a lot of these throughout the park.
For the traditionalist, the red buses may be the best way to get to Two Med.
We have an opportunity to come out here and drive these red buses through the park, which is the best job in the park because we get to see the beauty of the park regularly that way.
About 10 miles from Two Medicine, near the southeast corner of the park, Glacier Park Lodge is a hub for visitors. This was the first of the great lodges built by the Great Northern Railway in 1913. The lodge was built using 60 40-foot-tall Douglas fir columns to construct the lobby. 100 years later, it's still a marvel to behold. visitors still arrive by train at the historic East Glacier train depot. Once common among national parks, Glacier Park Lodge is among the last with a real railroad connection. The remote northwest corner of Glacier is called North Fork. If you want to get off the beaten path to a more remote wilderness experience, this is the place. The first stop in North Fork is Pole Bridge. Reached by a dusty dirt road, the town is really more like an outpost. Pole Bridge Mercantile is a welcome sight for hungry visitors and the closest thing to civilization. The third largest lake in the park, Bowman Lake, is just down the road. It's a place where visitors come to reconnect to nature. This is heaven for kayakers, canoers, and fishermen. Across the border in Canada, Waterton Lakes National Park is the sister park to Glacier. Together, they form Waterton Glacier International Peace Park. This is where the prairie meets the mountains. It covers some 521 square miles. Visitors first entering Waterton Lakes are greeted by one of the most breathtaking vistas to be found, Prince of Wales Hotel, overlooking Upper Waterton Lake. Historic Prince of Wales Hotel has a history worthy of such a setting. With its Swiss chalet architecture, this historic building possesses a charm from a bygone era. Like its sister lodges in Glacier, the hotel was completed by the Great Northern Railway in 1927. Here, within view of the Prince of Wales Hotel, Waterton Shoreline Cruise Company operates their flagship historic boat, the International. This 73-foot ship cruises the length of beautiful Upper Waterton Lake, crossing the international border into Montana to Goat Haunt in the heart of the International Peace Park wilderness. Cameron Falls is probably the most photographed waterfall in the park. The tilted bedrock is thought to be the oldest rock in the entire Canadian Rocky Mountain range. Akamina Parkway winds through the lush subalpine forests of Akamina Valley and ends abruptly at Cameron Lake. Set dramatically at the base of a huge cirque, this is one of the park's most popular lakes. Once you arrive, you won't easily leave. Kayaking in the early morning connects visitors to an ancient land. If you kayak to the far southern end of the lake, you're in Montana. Nearby, a half-mile hike ends at secluded Akamina Lake. A young moose browses, his antlers still covered in early-season velvet. Lower Roe Lake is a nice half-day hike, passing through pine and aspen forests with lots of wildflowers. Forget-me-nots, Indian paintbrush, lady slipper. Lower Roe Lake is a good rest spot, a place to have lunch and take in the scenery. Blackiston Valley is reached by scenic Red Rock Parkway. The pass was important to the Kootenai Indians, who traversed the mountains to hunt bison. Evidence of bison hunts date to more than 10,000 years ago. The parkway ends at a deep gorge known as Red Rock Canyon. The stream is cut through layers of sediment over thousands of years. The red argillite beds are particularly vibrant. Blackiston Falls is a short half-mile hike from the canyon. Autumn is in the air now. The meadows have turned from green to golden. The light is different in autumn. The air seems more crisp. Even the skies reflect the golden hues. Wildlife is active, gathering for the coming winter. The antlers of a bull moose are now full size. Another sign of fall is the bugling of the bull elk as he announces his declaration of dominance to the other bulls. This is the elk rut, mating season. Slowly, a wave of fall colors wanders down from the high peaks and into the valleys, randomly splashing brilliant golds and reds as it traverses the countryside. The arrival of fall in Glacier is fleeting. Winter winds sweep down from the north, and the snows come quickly. Weather changes in a blink, transforming the landscape. Elk migrate to winter ranges at lower elevations. The beauty of winter here is a sight experienced by few visitors. Deep snowfall soon leaves roads in the central portion of the park inaccessible. The frosty fingers of winter wrap the peaks in white and bury the valleys. Cold winds from the north bring temperatures well below freezing, and the brilliant blue lakes of summer are frozen over. The landscape transforms to a wintry wonderland. Montana's Glacier National Park beckons to those who find joy in nature, in making new discoveries and exploring new paths. From the tallest mountain peak to the deepest forested valley, from wandering trails to slopes soaked in sunshine, this is a land to refresh the spirit. Glacier National Park, set aside as a special place where a primitive wilderness is protected for future generations. During a visit to Glacier in 1901, John Muir gave this timely advice. Give a month at least to this precious reserve. The time will not be taken from the sum of your life.